This is called Having a Hunch by Howard Sankey, and this is in the Logos and Episteme journal, which is a kind of a cool place. It's a open access journal, I believe. It's a smaller thing, but I've considered sending them stuff before too. And you might small open access journal. Sometimes you get some interesting stuff, and there's like good authors in there sometimes, and then you get some like other stuff that's like just standard. But I've seen this journal. Some of it's kind of like I'm like, not bad. Interesting stuff you got here. So, actually, was I going to reference one? Oh, I didn't reference something from this journal. I almost referenced something from a journal from one of my previous papers. But here we go. And as always, my first time reading it. If you have any questions, I will attempt to explain, but I don't know. We'll just figure it out. All right, so this is called Having a Hunch. Here we go. The other evening while watching the news, I heard a loud noise outside. At first, there was a rustling sound. Then there was a sliding or scraping sound. And finally, a loud thud, a crash. I was curious about the cause of this commotion, so I went outdoors to investigate. What I found was that a large branch about 15 meters in length had broken off at its base from a neighboring eucalyptus. So is this person where is this person if they have a 15-meter eucalyptus tree? I mean, they might be Australian, they might be in California or something. If they say 15 meters, 15 meters is far, and we also don't use the meters in the United States of America. We should call this author Bruce just to keep things simple. Yes. Yeah, Australian. Okay, or maybe they're in New Zealand or something. I don't know. Okay, it had fallen in such a way that the base of the branch was embedded in the ground. The base of the branch was about a third of a meter across. So that's that's a big fucking thing. The branch itself was tilted at a 45-degree angle. The top of a branch was firmly wedged in forks of branches of two smaller trees. So it fell over and got itself good and jammed. In going outside to find out what made the noise, I conducted an inquiry. I did not know what made the noise. I went to have a look. I observed the branch in its new position. As a result, I came to know that it was the falling limb that had made the noise. I started in a position of ignorance. I conducted an inquiry. I observed the relevant evidence. I found out what caused the noise. The inquiry was complete. At that time, I knew what caused the noise. I mean, you see the new here. That might have been incidental. There may have been two things falling, and then it's like, this is one of these Gettier cases. So, say two branches fell, one on both sides of the house. He heard the one on this side, but he only observed the one that fell on that side. So, did he actually observe the cause of the sound? Yeah. We don't know. But this is the sort of philosophical issue that's at hand here, called a Gettier case. Okay, where you could be right for the wrong reasons or wrong for the right reasons. In this case, he thinks a branch fell and made the sound, and that would make him right, but for the wrong reasons, because it may have been a different branch that fell. That's all. All right. Here, the process is a process of inquiry which moves from ignorance to knowledge. I start with ignorance, I conduct an inquiry, I wind up with knowledge. But there is a hitch. I had a hunch it might have been a falling branch. It was quite a strong hunch. I live in a forest. Eucalypts sometimes drop major branches. It had been hot. Eucalypts are known to drop branches as a result of the heat, so I thought that it might be a branch. Still, I wasn't certain. There were other possible explanations. It could have been a drop bear, but they are rare as a hen's teeth. Okay, a drop bear is I think that's actually a koala bear. And I don't know what a hen's teeth is, but that's another weird maybe they sound very Aussie to me. An asteroid strike was unlikely, an earthquake, but the house didn't shake. Perhaps a car had gone down the ravine across the road. It has happened before, but there was no sound of skidding tires, smashed fence posts, crumpling metal, breaking glass, or human voices. A venomous bear, no doubt, yes. So the author had a hunch, quite a strong one, that a branch had fallen, but I was not certain. I needed to check. I needed to have a look to see if I could determine the cause. I walked in the direction of the noise and saw the fallen branch. It was just on dark, so I waited until dawn to check it in detail. When 9/11 happened, my grandma lived literally a block and a half away. She lived downtown. When the first tower fell, or when the planes hit the towers, I forget. She was married to this guy, and there was a loud boom. Like, they were close enough to feel the building shake and hear the boom. And he goes to turn on the TV, and my grandma goes to him, just go outside and look. You don't have to turn the TV on. And he went outside to look to figure out what the hell it was, because they had no idea what it could have been. Are they qualified to speak about these animals? I don't know. They might be. A space bear on an asteroid landing on a human, maybe. Yes, but that's not what he was thinking, Tendarius. Yeah. This is the guy. A website has style shit gone wild. Oh. Yeah, there's some philosophers have like 1998 style websites, and it's amazing. They just refuse to change. There's something called the Power Consistent News. There's a Power Consistent Logic. There's something called Power Consistent News, and it's using like straight up like late 90s, early 2000s style website. It's ridiculous. Viper says hen's teeth is just something that's so rare that it's non-existent, and drop bears are a hoax, predatory, carnivorous version of a koala. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I knew it was associated with a koala, but I didn't know it was like the evil cousin koala. So like Wario koala? Yeah, Wario Mario. A Woala? Uh-huh. Yeah. So, like, there's sometimes when you don't have a hunch, and this is a time when you do have a hunch of what it is. Sometimes you go to look because you really don't know. Sometimes you go to look because, you want to confirm. All right. In an inquiry such as this one, the author says, there is a practical component. To see what made the noise, I went outside. Rather than head down the drive, I went up the drive behind the house to look in the paddock next door. That was because I thought the sound came from that direction. I walked in the direction that I thought the noise had come from, and I looked towards the paddock once I got to where I could see the paddock. This shows that inquiry involves or may involve a practical component. One engages in a series of actions in order to conduct the inquiry. Yeah, so a lot of these things that are described in philosophy can be described, and this is a logical term, as games of seeking and finding. Like, you're going to inquire about something. You're going to seek out the information. How do you seek it out? Well, you heard a noise, and you're going to follow the noise that you heard. You're going to seek out where the source of the noise. So this is what you're doing. There is a practical, like, sort of seeking and finding thing going on here. A lot of the Heidegger scholars are in these Facebook groups, but I really hate being back on there again. Yeah. Well, why are they there? Are they all like old fogies like on Facebook? That's interesting. But like, seems strange. Yeah, it's like, they want to engage on Facebook. It's weird. Yeah, boomers. All right. Author one, the question concerning technology, the answer is not Facebook. You're right in more ways than one, Unreal Brian. All right. I went outside and looked towards the paddock to determine the source of the noise, but the bodily movements involved did not in themselves constitute the inquiry. I had made similar movements countless of times before over the years without necessarily inquiring into anything. It was the fact that I was trying to determine what had made the sound that made these movements into components of an act of inquiry. Yeah, so there is some embodiment to your searching. How you search something out, be it a sound, an object, whatever, you have to physically do something. Ivan says, a Heidegger sentence is so long that it exceeds the video length of TikTok. Yeah, well, a lot of German is like that. You can't, philosophy is like that, Heidegger's like that, and German's like that. So I was like, that's a triple punch, triple hit. Okay. Having seen the fallen branch, I knew what caused the noise. Given the evidence, I knew what the cause was, but I still returned the following morning to check it out further. Why? Was I double checking or rechecking? Well, in a sense, yes, but not to determine the source of the noise. When I went back at first light to check the branch, I was more interested in what to do next. How big was it? How firmly wedged was it? Was it safe? Would I be able to cut it down with my chainsaw, or will I need to call the arborist? These were the questions before my mind when I went back to check the tree in the morning. I was not checking again to make sure that it was the branch that had made the crashing sound. I knew it had made the crashing sound, but now I had other questions to resolve, ones that related to what I should do next. Okay. Philosopher with a Chainsaw. Now there's a movie. You have to remember, there's a split in philosophers. There's the urbanites, that live in cities, and then there's the rural people that live like out in bumblefuck. And so there's actually a bunch of philosophers, that live, the philosophers out in the woods, and those people are, out in the woods. And this is what happens. Like, a lot of people live in cities, they work at universities, and then they retire to the countryside. So it's I know you're making a joke, Vipers, but the joke about Heidegger was he was like the old man of the forest. Luminance confirm. Like, yeah. But, like, he was the old man of the Black Forest or whatever. So, like, people go live out in, like, Bumblefuck. You'd be like, leave me alone. So, yeah. Texas Chainsaw meta ethics, exactly. Are you, but Bumblefuck could actually be a remote Australian town? Yes. Lumen says, in our generation, the ones who live in Bumblefuck are the ones who actually got a university job. Yeah, that's the sad part. I mean, unless you're in like a city or whatever, yeah, those people don't have jobs mostly. They're just adjuncting. But yeah, a lot of people, that's where you go. You go out into the middle of nowhere where there's a university because it costs no money and that's where they put it. And then you can get a job out there. And it's like, it's funny. I was like, that's all Aris ever wanted to. He wants to go be in like, you know, the desert out in like the Southwest and be able to teach philosophy. It's like, yeah, I wish that for him, but who knows if there's any jobs. Okay. So finally, we're going to get to, like, that was a nice story what we just discussed here. This is like, okay, but so what? You heard a noise and you investigated. Good job, philosopher. Yeah, he lived and taught in Freiburg. It was already a small town, but he had a small hut he built in the Black Forest that he did all his writing in. Yeah. So you need, like, your quiet. You want to be distracted. You don't want to be distracted by the everyday stuff. Even me, like, I definitely have to get out of my room, get away from Twitch. Otherwise, I get distracted. And so if you want to be really not distracted, you go out away from the rest of civilization. I mean, Wittgenstein had his, his getaway shack in, was it Norway? And which, of course, was basically a small house, because Wittgenstein, for him, a shack was like a small house to the rest of us, because he was like super wealthy. But yeah, but it is a thing. And like in Australia too, there's a lot of space in like the outback, so you can be in Australia and be away from like the cities. Lumen says, yes, why I can't stream during the week, need to escape the possibility of finishing your dissertation. Yes. So like all the students out there, finish your homework. Every time I'm like, I'm going to go back, I might think about going back to school. I'm just like, hell fucking no. Like, that sounds terrible. Okay. Much of what the author has just said is familiar ground from the current literature on the nature of inquiry. Inquiry is a process that moves from ignorance to knowledge. It seeks to answer a question, for example, what made that noise? An inquiry has an aim, for example, to find out the source of the noise. It may involve practical activity, that is, going for a look. Sometimes we double check, though in this case my double checking was not strictly double checking since it was in service of different questions. What is not so familiar is the status of the hunch. Yeah, see, now we're coming back to where the way they actually wanted to talk about. What is a hunch? I'm already doing the best parts now, discussion public things. That's why I don't go back. Because I'm like, why? What would I get about going back? I get to write what I want now, and I get to talk about philosophy now. And yeah, I don't get paid for it though. That's the difference. I don't get no stipend. And so I was like, yeah. If I could get paid to do like the same bullshit, I would take that. But that doesn't happen. So yeah. According to Jane Friedman, when we conduct an inquiry, we should suspend belief. We do not generally conduct an inquiry if we already have a belief about the matter at hand. There is something wrong with the conducting an inquiry into some matter if I have already formed a belief with respect to that matter. Okay, so this is interesting because this is one of the stupidities in the philosophy literature. All right, I can't do that. I would want to draw lines, but I don't have that set up yet. Where it says, look, if you have a belief, you don't have to go inquire into it. But if you don't have a belief, then you have no reason to inquire either. So sort of having or not having a belief is a little too black or white. That's what the author is talking about here. Because a lot of times, well, if you have a belief like it's going to rain, you take your umbrella or you don't take your umbrella. You don't inquire further if you already have a belief about the rain. Okay. So the author says, thus, I should not have gone out to determine the cause of the noise if I believed or knew that a falling branch had made the noise. If I knew or believed this, I would have had no need to make the inquiry. It would have been inappropriate for me to do so. It is irrational to conduct an inquiry into a matter about which one already believes or knows the answer. It is not irrational to conduct the inquiry if the belief is suspended. Yeah. Author says, this doesn't sit quite right with me. I did not outright believe that it was a falling branch that had caused the noise. I was not completely confident that the cause was a falling branch. I had made no commitment to that precise belief. I had not made up my mind. That is why I went outside to investigate. But I did have a hunch that it was a falling branch that made the noise. Is the hunch a belief? Here is the author's best stab at what the hunch amounted to. My hunch that a falling branch made the noise was a belief that it was probably a branch that made the noise. This is not the belief that a falling branch made the noise. The belief was suspended until I saw the fallen branch. Instead, the belief was about the probability or likelihood, we may be loose about the terminology here, that it was a falling branch that made the sound. This was not a partial belief, less than full confidence that a falling branch had made the sound. That belief was suspended. Yeah, so they're not saying, I think with like 60% it was a branch that fell. They're saying this is where they are, what are we saying? They said it was a belief about that it was probably a branch. So they're saying, look, I have a full belief that it was probably a branch. Yeah. So when Silly observed the branch, he knew it was a branch. It was a branch of philosophy. You'll get your just smack vipers. So, yeah, but he's saying, look, it wasn't that it was 60%. He was saying that it was the belief of the likelihood of the branch, not that the branch was likely the culprit of the sound. So, author says it was outright belief that it was probable that a falling branch made the sound. That belief was not suspended. Yeah. So, it was a belief about the probability, not the belief about the branch. That's what they're saying a hunch is. That you have a belief about the possible states that the world was in, and so you're believing about different states the world might be in, where the thing you think happened, in this case branch falling, is prominent among the states that the world may have been in, but there are other states. You're talking about a selection of states, and you're thinking most likely it was one of the branch falling states. Texas Chainsaw Heidegger. Oh, are we getting some more AI art? Always fun. There we go. That's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, you can see down here, it doesn't really actually know what a chainsaw looks like because there's no chain. But it knows, like, it's a machine sort of thing. Yeah, and I think it actually kind of does look like Heidegger. Also, like, I don't know if you can see on stream, but he's kind of got like this scar over the eye. Kind of looks like sort of like like a scary clown sort of thing. He's in his hut too. Yes. Well, he would need he would need it to be a handmade axe. Yes, because hammers and axes and all that stuff. But yeah, so he's got a cool chair. That's pretty good. Okay. So, now, okay, what's the author doing? All right, so they have a full belief about the states of the world, the way the world may have been. That's what they're saying. That's what a hunch is. It's a survey of possible states of the world. You're not having a belief about the world. You're having a belief about the possible states of the world. Surprise plot twist. The chainsaw is his hand. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. All right, so author says, there is a physical context. I live in a forest. The trees among which I live often drop branches. On hot days, eucalypts sometimes drop branches. I'm familiar with many of the noises that occur around the house. I know many of the bird calls. I know what wind in the trees sounds like. I know the sound that comes from the neighboring properties and the road. Most importantly, I've heard the sound that branches make when they fall on previous occasions. Ready at chainsaw, exactly, Luminance. Like, what was that? The Army of Darkness where he cut off his hand and put a chainsaw there? Yeah. They're called Widowmakers. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the dangers with eucalyptus trees is that this does happen, that they break, and they break in dangerous ways. Sharp smart. Yeah. They planted eucalyptus trees in California here, and it was a bad move because they take up a lot of water, and California needs the water, and the eucalyptus trees make oil. Like, it's like their resin is kind of oily. Not the resin, their sap is kind of oily. And it gets hotter in parts of California than it does like where the eucalyptus trees normally live. And so it gets hot and it's oily and the stuff explodes. And you get like basically napalm. The trees turn into napalm. If like they catch fire, they explode and send like burning oil everywhere. And it's a very bad move that they made in California for that. Viper says the latest neuroscience is proposing that everything is a hunch, as in we don't perceive reality through our senses. We have an internal model which predicts how we think reality might be, and that model is calibrated through our senses. I kind of agree with that. We are, interacting with our world, and so we're just kind of making it as we go, and only in very serious situations do we have to be very certain about things. And so the fact that the brain is just doing like a just-in-time catching up to the world, trying to figure out what it is, that makes sense. Like if that's how the neuroscience is going, I'm cool with that. The appearance rather than the things in themselves. It's like are all you idealists out there crying that we're just dealing with a world of appearances? There is no things in themselves. Kant can't keep getting away with it. Kant's not getting anywhere. Kant's not getting away with nothing. I mean, to be fair, that is a very Kantian sort of thing. It's like where everything's appearance, and then we finally get at like the real thing later. But like it doesn't matter. Like there is no thing in itself. I think there's a path that von Uxküll inspired biosimulationists take. Yeah, I think that is as I understood the history. I think that's correct, Unreal Brian. For people who don't know, is the Uxküll did the what's it called? Like the world sort of, you only have access to the world, your senses, and that kind of what makes your reality. He had some cool pictures of like what a world must look like for a tick, where they can only sense like certain things, and that's sort of thing. The neuroscience sounds like the Kantian thing to you. That's because most people are a lot of closet Kantians out there. They don't really understand the philosophy. They just take on, well, we're trying to get at the world, but we have all this difficulty, and so it's mediated, and so they fall into a very sort of basic Kantian scheme. So it's you taking the L and Kant winning again, so it's bad for you? It's no, Luminance. That's not what it is. People take on old metaphysics because this is just how they were taught. This was what was in the world while the science was developing. And now we have to work against all the bad ideas that are there, but this is just intellectual baggage. It's not like this is the neuroscience is like set in stone. They just took on the intellectual baggage from like the previous centuries. That's how this all goes. So it's not like they are Kantians. It's like their neuroscience aren't philosophers. That's not what neuroscientists do. But like they're using the scientific models of the past, which are Kantian quite often, and that's how we're getting with a Kantian flavored science. Kantianism is a perversion of what, Unreal Brian? I mean, Kant was kind of like, weird, but like perverted how? Viper says it would be an interesting experiment to import chlamydia-free koalas to tackle the California eucalyptus problem. The experiment isn't to see if the koalas can tackle the problem. The experiment is to see how long before someone gives them chlamydia again. That's funny. Lumen says, true, we need to escape bad metaphysics. Yeah. And everyone always says this, but like, people are like, they don't give it up. Like they hold on to this because it's the old, like people like, they need these theories to think. Every research team needs a philosopher to check the metaphysics of the reporting. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea either. Like a lot of shitty philosophers out there too. But, yeah, but this is, people in science don't realize they are inheriting the philosophy of their day, and they just take this as canon. They take the philosophy as, yeah, that's the other thing. Vipers is correct. They'd be like, just stop, philosophers, shut up. If like, you want no science to get done, then you have a philosopher on board. But what was I just saying? People unreflectively take the metaphysics and science of their day, and they think this is just how it is. They don't have the historical view, and I mean, not their fault. They weren't trained. They didn't look at the philosophy. They don't know this stuff. But like, this is what they just take, and then they take it as like canon or as the truth. And then it's only been this way for the last 100, 200, 300 years. But if you look in philosophy, you see that these things are constantly changing, if slowly, but they're changing over time. And it's like, well, the stuff we assumed 200 years ago is going to stick around in various guises, but it's not going to last forever. Or usually doesn't. We're still arguing stuff from Plato, Aristotle, 2,000 years later, but we have other stuff now too. So it's like, yeah. All right. Let's get through this. This is like last 2 pages already, really. Okay, the context informs my belief formation. The beliefs that I form and the circumstances in which I find myself are guided by beliefs and knowledge that I have about my surroundings. It's because I live in a forest and am aware of what goes on around me that I formed the belief that it was likely that a falling branch had made the noise. Luhmann says, quote, a philosophical idea that once seems strange because becomes inherited as common sense and we forget it was ever strange. That's from Heidegger. Yeah. Heidegger, of course, was interested in technology and science and everything. It's 20th century philosophy. Like he was looking at this. For all I know, I got this from Heidegger. Unreal Brian says, Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson, they did a lot of great things, but their anti-philosophy and intellectualism is blinkered. Yeah, they annoy me. Especially Tyson, of course. Hawking's dead now. Which is unfortunate. Because, it's like you done really cool stuff in your area, but why are you shitting on other people at that point? It's like you should know better, but people don't. And you become a public intellectual, you're expected to have like opinions on lots of stuff. And it's unfortunate when they start shitting on things they don't really understand. Happens a lot, though. Okay. So author says that the belief that it was likely that a falling branch made the noise was the hunch that I had about the cause of the noise. Yeah, so they had a selection of ideas about the ways the world could be, and that's what the idea was. It wasn't that the branch was the belief that it was a branch was falling. That it was the belief that out of all the ways the world might have been, the branch was the most likely of the. Not the most likely. It had the most instances of all the ways the world could have been. Philosophers do it to other disciplines too, yeah. No, exactly. Like, I don't want to shit on everybody else. Philosophers are actually terrible about this sometimes. I was talking to some people in the city, and they were saying that Kit Fine, who is a really fantastic philosopher at NYU, basically he got booed off a stage once because he started to write something on, like, feminist philosophy, and I guess the story I heard, I don't want to like say this is what happened, was he didn't really give proper credit to some of the people in the field. He was just, coming in and like writing something on it. And they got angry with him. And it was, they were saying, look, you didn't work on this. Then you're coming in like this famous philosopher coming in working on our topic, trying to steal our thunder. And he was like, it kind of devolved. And, it's like, well, that's what they were saying. He was like, he moved into a field of philosophy that like he wasn't known for, and the people took it insulting. And the people I was with are very Kit Fine friendly, so they were like, but it was good philosophy, so there should have been more stuff. But I'm like, I understand, but like if you go being like the old white man coming into someone else's area, which has traditionally been like not old white man, it was like, minorities and women in philosophy, that was their area. They were just like, we don't want you to come in and be like, you're just going to, steal our thunder and stuff. So it's like they do it. Sometimes people don't realize what they're doing. And it's like, well, if he had done a little bit more, praising like, the people that got him, that discipline to where it was, then it would have been maybe less bad, but it happens all the time. Ivan says, if you're a scientist and science comes under attack from bad philosophy, you can either fight the bad philosophy with good philosophy or discount philosophy altogether. Yeah. And there's a ton of bad philosophy, as everyone knows. So it's like, you're like, why would you listen to those assholes if like people are coming at you with bad philosophy? It's like, I understand. Okay. It's like, I don't blame people for having a bad reaction when people are coming at them with bad philosophy. The only good philosophy is the philosophy that agrees with science. Science has been wrong, though, Vipers. It has. Like, science is sometimes wrong. So it's like, I mostly agree, but like philosophers have to agree with like the results of science in some sense, but the scientists don't have the end all be all understanding of everything, and things get reinterpreted at a certain point. Science knows it's wrong, otherwise it would stop. Yeah, but then why do I have to agree with something that's wrong if I'm a philosopher? Yeah, I mean, for a long time, the Earth was the center of the universe. Like, that was the scientific consensus. Like, okay. And then stopping the center of the universe. Hit rate, okay. Well, I'll take my small hit rate then. Lumen says, true, but if a scientist doesn't know any philosophy, how do they know which is a good and which is bad philosophy? That's true too. Scientific consensus. Yeah, so again, the Earth was the scientific consensus center of the universe for a very long time. I mean, you're going to say, well, that was bad science back in the day. I'm going to say, well, guess what? We have bad science today too. So yeah. Inspector Dimer says, I don't know about koalas, but the clap never prevented me from eating eucalyptus. Yeah. You can go look up the koala chlamydia problem. Apparently, a lot of koalas have chlamydia, and it's very bad for their populations. All right, so we're going to talk about hunches. What role did the hunch play? I had not yet formed the belief that the falling branch made the noise, but the hunch that the branch made the noise served as a guide to my inquiry. The inquiry led to the belief that the falling branch made the noise, but the inquiry itself was guided by the hunch. It was because of the hunch that I went outside to investigate. It was the hunch that prompted and guided the actions that I undertook to make the inquiry. As I was saying, the sound restricted the number of ways the world might have been to the author. And so that way you could say, look, most likely all those different ways, that noise was made by a branch. There are other possibilities, but there are fewer of them. And that's what a probability is. It's a sort of a survey of the potential ways the world might have been, or out of all the ways the world might have been. So if something takes up half the potential ways, then you could say, well, that's a 50% probability. Is one way of describing probability. Yeah. So author says, in what I've just said, I have written in descriptive mode. I have described the way in which the surroundings in which I lived shaped my hunch about the falling branch. But Friedman's point about suspension of belief is an inquiry into a normative one. So the description of the circumstances that inform my hunch may seem to miss the point. I do not think that it does. It seems entirely appropriate, indeed rational, for those circumstances to inform my hunch and for the hunch to guide my inquiry. Yeah. All right. The suggestion I venture to offer is that at least in some cases, hunches play and rightly play a role in our inquiry. We may suspend belief about the precise matter into which we inquire, as I did about whether a falling branch made the noise, but if we inquire based on a hunch, as I did into the noise of the noise the other evening, our inquiry is and should be guided by belief. In this case, my inquiry was guided by the belief that it was probably a falling branch that made the noise, and that was entirely appropriate from a rational point of view. Inquiries made based on hunches are not inquiries in which all relevant beliefs are suspended, nor should they be. And we've got, 2 references. This is a paper with 2 references. Yes. Ivan says, science gets things right by successive approximation, as technology proves. Rationally, we should side with the scientific consensus. We are likely more wrong than the consensus. I mean, it was a branch from Bayes' tree, yes. Siding with the mob, Ivan. You're just siding with the mob. Okay, you can side with the mob if you want to. I'm not siding with the mob, at least not all the time. I'll side with the mob sometimes. Not all the time, though. Scientific consensus does not make good for a good philosophy. And good philosophy eventually leads to better science. I mean, if you are a proponent of the Vienna Circle, the sort of positivistic look at the world, that's a product of 20th century philosophy. It is. It's like, this is not that old. Okay. So what is having a hunch? Did you think this was fun? Let's give it a little review. Let's see if this works. It did not. I did not check this. So we've got the emotes reviews. I will probably just have to check this later. I don't know if anything is working. Let's see if I can figure this out. Where might this be? But anyway, so you enjoy me some woke mob science. Exactly, it all costs money. Let's see, how would this be? Where would it be? I don't even know. Where is it? Alerts? New. Sidebar, no. Avatar, no. I do not remember where I put my, What is this? No, 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 no. All right, I'm just going to have to fix it later. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, so if you want, you just grab one of those, oh man, I can't even describe. So Nog Oro is for the Ouroboros of a deep age cut ideas. Nog Knife is for a slice and dicing argument. Nog Scream is for existential artistic drama. The Nog Navel is for only for academics. This was kind of directed at an academic audience because they were talking about only the idea that if you have a belief, you don't need to investigate because you already have the belief. And if you don't have the belief, there's nothing to investigate. So there's no real reason to do investigation. This person's saying, look, the stuff you have beliefs about are the ways the world might have been or the potentialities. So you have a full belief about the way the world might have been, which includes a survey of the ways the world might have been. The hunch narrows down the way the world might have been so that you can go investigate certain possibilities. Okay, brain dances gave you some fun ideas. Nog grapes are for big ideas that didn't pan out. So if they made big claims, didn't pan out. And then there's the global vote yay, vote nay, and there's also vote meh. So yeah. So vote meh. Thank you for rating. No, Illuminance, this is the biggest payoff. This is a small journal. This publishes smaller papers. And so there is no big payoff. It's just disagreeing with the current state of analytic theories on beliefs. And that was it. So that's all it was, Illuminance. Ivan says, nay. I was trying to remember what the shrinking bollocks meme was called. Nog grapes. Yeah, that was grapes. So yeah. Yeah. Nog navel, vote meth. Thank you, Vipers. Vote meth. I think the understanding. Oh, you want to know what's so funny? I can't see the icon, the emotes on my screen. I can see it on I have to watch it through my own feedback. Flat Earth, vote Matt, Tindarius. This guy's never heard of Bayes. He's sort of slowly reconstructing Bayes in a non-technical way. No, that's not what's happening here, Ivan. He's disagreeing with the normative status of beliefs. And so it's not that he's saying you are reconstructing Bayes. He's saying that the rest of philosophy has misinterpreted beliefs to be either you have a belief or you don't have a belief. And so he's saying, look, you have hunches too. And so that's an intermediate sort of belief. You have a full belief about the possibilities, the way the world could have been. So this is not reconstructing Bayes. This is talking about ways we could be. The phenomena of belief within us is that hunches, and we have both hunches and beliefs. So he's trying to increase the ontology of states we can be in. We can believe something about the world, but then we can also believe something about the different ways the world might have been. So it's a belief about potential world states. It's not the same sort of inquiry. Loomis says, yeah, I think I'm lacking knowledge on current literature on beliefs. I maybe think it was great if I knew more. It's not great. At best, this paper is looking to do, it did what it said it was going to do. Basically, it's going to describe what it is to have a hunch and show how the current literature on beliefs, which is the stuff down here from like Inquiry and Belief in 2019, is saying, look, they've missed part of the point. That's all it is. No, it doesn't know Bayes. Ha, Muggle. Yeah, exactly. The question is, well, here's the question for my Bayesians out there. Why do you inquire into the way the world is? Why? And how do you actually go about doing it? You don't choose randomly. You choose you choose what you think is most likely to get you a good answer. How do you do that? His background knowledge gave him prior probabilities. These probabilities were updated under inquiry. Yes, that's correct. I don't think he'd disagree with that. What's your personal opinion on Gettier cases? I think they suck. I don't like justified true belief, so that's not my problem. Like, that's justified true belief's problem. I don't have any problem with Gettier cases because I don't think you can Gettier that this is a hand. I don't think it works. So I have no problem with Gettier cases because I don't think it works on Moorian facts, or at least a subset of Moorian facts. So the fact that and I can tell you right now why, luminance. And for anyone who doesn't know, you agree with that, yeah? Because I don't think you can actually do logic on Morian facts. Like, this is a hand or something else, or like, Brown is in Barcelona. I don't think that disjunction, sorry for getting technical, counts as a Morian fact. So the fact that the one disjunct is a Morian fact, that doesn't, like, that's not like transitive. You can't like be like, this is a hand or Brown is in Barcelona. That disjunction is now a Morian fact. Only the this is a hand is a Morian fact, and that's the only thing that counts as knowledge. I don't think you can do logic with Morian facts except with other Morian facts, but that would be trivial. So yeah, Brown is in Barcelona. Ford. Jones owns a Ford, or Brown is in Barcelona. DCI. This is what's called a Gettier problem. These are the original examples where you come up with random things in the world that are unlikely, but they just happen to be true. So it's epistemic luck, it's called. So just say, look, either I'm gonna win $1 million, or Brown is in Barcelona. And you think you're going to win $1 million. Like, you're really certain you're going to win $1 million, but it turns out you're not going to win $1 million because Brown is in Barcelona. Unbeknownst to you, someone like Brown went to Barcelona and prevented you from getting your $1 million. So saying Brown is in Barcelona is historically just this random thing that happens to happen. Yeah. What grounds a Morian fact, or prove it, whatever language I prefer. Luminance, we can go, I can like send you my paper on this if you want, but like, I just think, basically, if you've lived your entire life over and over and over having a hand, there's no way you can deny having a hand. That's it. I called it like everyday compounding. It gets compounded every single day that you have a hand, assuming you have a hand. You didn't know I wrote it? Yeah, I actually have a theory on this. Ivan says that beliefs are a different kind than hunches. A hunch and knowledge are both levels of confidence in a theory. Now, you see, he said it's not a level of confidence. The author specifically disagreed with that. It's not saying that you have a 60% chance of a belief that the branch fell. It's the idea is that you have a survey of ways the world might be. It's not just 60% that the branch fell. It's that you have a whole selection of ways the world might be. Now, that a branch fell may take up 60% of all of those things, but that's the whole point, is that there's something else going on. It's just not 60% that the branch fell, it's that you have to go look because there is a selection. And it's a different sort of concept going on there. The Irish don't have hands, we have fists, yes. I don't feel like he shrivels up because I don't think there were any big claims made. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I should actually vote myself, shouldn't I? I'm going to go with a Nog Naval, because this really, oh god, I don't even have my I have nothing here. I have to actually copy my own fucking emotes from the chat. I'm going Nog Naval, and let's see. I'm giving this a vote yay, actually. No, this is not, oh my god, nothing is working. Yay. I think that's how you spell it. Yeah. Nope. But I'm going to give it 2 Nog Navals. So there we go. Yeah. Feel kind of voting meh because I feel like it would be yay if I was more familiar with the literature. It doesn't matter. That's one of the nice things about this. It doesn't matter. I don't feel bad. It's like, it's fine. And I may have to like sit here and manually write this crap out later. I don't know. But thank you all for being here and for your ratings and everything else. If anyone wants vote meh, everyone's doing it. There you go, Unreal. Yeah, you have to actually use the right things. So Unreal Brian voted meh. You can't put a space in the words. Yeah. Go with the mob? Exactly. But, I have a soft spot. I've said this before when I've bucked the chat on this. I have a soft spot for people pointing out things that philosophers have overlooked. And this is, I feel like, one of them. And I kind of like this philosophy. It's like, look, we know Bayes. We have these theories of beliefs, but we're not talking about hunches, which are not quite beliefs. And if you say they are kind of like weak beliefs, there's an argument against that. And that's what is provided here. So it's a small argument saying, look, we have weak beliefs, but they are not beliefs. They're something slightly different. It's like a different species of belief we call hunch, and we have these things, and their properties are just slightly different. And like I'm okay with that because it's a look. It's not just like your regular belief that like, oh, it's gonna rain with 30% probability tomorrow, 70%. Yeah, you did it correctly earlier. Thank you, Unreal. Oh, so you were just jumping on the bandwagon. I got you. Thank you. Appreciate you jumping on the bandwagon. All right. But this was a more successful than I thought return to streaming after my computer crashed. Let's get out of here before anything else bad happens.